What you desire is already done on a vibrational level. You don't need to manifest anything. You just need to match your vibrational frequency, your identity, and your belief systems with the version of you that's already living on that parallel timeline. I'm Alyssa, and I remind you that this timeline is optional. Once you have a desire for something else in your life, it is because a parallel timeline version of you is communicating with you, saying, this is already done. Match these three things and come join me in this better life. Desire is literally a pull from parallel future timeline you. But often we don't actually quantum jump and ever get to the reality that we want. And I'm going to tell you the 5 things that hold you back from actually quantum leaping. These are 5 things I struggled with way longer than I need to. There has been 2 quantum leaps, more than 2, but there's been 2 major quantum leaps in my life, one doing with having to do with career and one having to do with relationships. And these were the things that once I finally was able to let go of and move through energetically, I was able to land in the new reality where a version of me was already living this. There's a version of you right now that is living your dream life with your soulmate in your dream home, with your dream career, dream friends, health, wholeness, whatever it is that you desire. That thing that you desire is a pull from that version of you saying it's possible for you. I was literally having dreams about a lot of things in my life right now, and I was not able to quantum leap because of these 5 things. And once I was, reality flipped, and I'd like to say that I'm now in that reality. I merged with the version of me that was communicating with me, and life is so much better. Number 1, you are staying in a comfort zone and old energy. The version of you is not living in that same energetic frequency that current you is living now. There's a gap between this version of you and that version of you. That version did things that are outside of your current comfort zone. Maybe they made different decisions. Maybe they ended certain relationships. Maybe they hung out in different environments, but their vibrational frequency is higher than yours, and they are comfortable with things that you are uncomfortable with. Your life is actually reflecting back to you what you think is normal. Reality is just a belief and is just a reflection. So, our current comfort zones, life continues to be the same because we live in what is vibrationally comfortable and what we expect our lives to look like. So, when you have made a decision to quantum leap to a new reality, you will often get nudges, intuitive pulls about things you need to do, places you need to go, relationships you need to end, doors you need to close, which is actually number 2. And if you ignore these pulls, you just stay in the same vibrational frequency. You just stay in your same comfort zone and nothing ever changes. Maybe you're in a job that you don't like. Maybe you're in a relationship that is no longer serving you. Maybe you're hanging around people whose vibration lowers you, but you feel comfortable and it feels normal. And when you start taking baby steps out of these comfort zones, it does not feel safe to your identity. So that's why we stay in the old realities. Our comfort zones might not even be comfortable, but it is where our nervous system feels safe. So we rarely go outside of them because we're used to the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. So we never make different choices to experience different things to break out of our comfort zone. And one of the ways to actually quantum leap is actually to make a new decision. Quantum physics tells us that whenever you make a decision, like deciding to quit a job or move to a new city or go to a certain college or date a person, 2 versions of reality split off, and one version of you goes this way and one version goes that way. The version of you on the parallel timeline that has the thing that you want made a different decision at some point in their reality, and that actually became comfortable for them. What's funny when you quantum leap is when you get to that new reality, the thing that seemed so big, like the dream home or the soulmate or making 6 figures or whatever it is, at one time felt so big to you. But when you actually land in that reality, it feels normal because you've aligned with your vibrational frequency, your identity, and your belief systems with that version of you. That's why visualization and imagining that you already have the thing that you want is such a powerful practice because you teach your nervous system and your belief system that what you want is safe and normal. So by the time when you actually quantum leap and it shows up, you almost forget that you weren't living there the whole time. When that thing you want becomes normalized to you in your imagination and you expect it, that's when a quantum leap happens. Number 2 is not closing old timelines. What did I say earlier? This is about making new decisions. When you have decided to jump to a new reality, that version of you has a different vibrational frequency, meaning everything in their life might be different because the people, places, and environments in our current reality, we are a vibrational match to. We are a vibrational match to the relationships we have or don't have, the money we have or don't have, the job we have or don't have. One of the main things I did in both of my quantum leaps for career and relationships was had to leave one thing not knowing if the other thing would show up. Because I was so feeling like I was not a match to this old reality because that new reality was calling me forward so much that it might look like ending a relationship when you might think that you're going to be single forever. I actually ended the best relationship I had had at that time knowing that it was not where my soul was going or what my soul wanted. And I had the thought that I might just be single forever, which is crazy because 3 months later, I jumped to the reality where I'm literally married to my soulmate. But I had to know that this door, this timeline needed to close because that was not the timeline I wanted to be on anymore. And there's a version of me that never left that is still in that relationship and has a completely different life because she did not make the choice to close that door. The same thing in a job. I was making really good money at a bar, but I was becoming not a vibrational match for the environment. I had been at one time or I would never would have worked there. And I got offered to work on a startup app, which seemed scary because it was like, what is this going to even do for me? And was so used to making good money, knowing what nights I was working. I was used to I was in the comfort zone of a life that wasn't really that energetically comfortable. And I chose to close that door and go work for this person. And because of that, a bridge of incidents, which Neville describes as when you're using the law of assumption and you assume the new thing that you want in your life, a bridge of incidents happens. As a result of leaving that job and meeting this person and working on this app that never actually went anywhere, I ended up becoming the face of a brand and doing actually acting work and stuff that I had wanted for so long. But the version of me first had to close the door on the bartender version that was partying, drinking too much, and living in a low vibrational frequency. So it can look like ending a relationship, leaving a job, moving cities. If you moved far away from somewhere when you were, out of high school or out of college, you were choosing a quantum reality because there's a version of you that never moved and had a vastly different life. I've also seen this on mushroom ceremonies. I've seen what my life would be like had I never left Seattle. And I'm not saying it's better or worse, except that my soul was calling me to Los Angeles. So I think my life is better. In that sense, my soul was saying, hey, there's a timeline that's good for you over here. But when you make a big decision choosing to leave one thing, even if you don't know what's waiting for you, that is a quantum leap. Now, how is the quantum leap going to turn out? It's not just making a choice, it's making a choice and lining your frequency up. Because I'm sure there's timelines where I moved to LA and am now like, I don't know, on drugs or you know, not having as great of a life as I have right now because choosing to make a choice is a quantum leap, but then also raising your vibrational frequency to be the version of you that has the best possible outcome is also part of quantum leaping. The number three thing that is keeping you in your old timeline is believing your limiting beliefs. All beliefs in some degree are limiting. I fully believe that if we actually thought we could fly, we probably could. And there's probably some version of reality where people are just floating around or people, that you hear about those like yogic masters can do all sorts of things that most of us can't do. But just based on your dream job, quantum timeline where you have your soulmate or your dream job or your friend group or your health, what you are experiencing in your life is a result of what you believe about reality and yourself. Maybe you believe you're unlovable. Maybe you believe you can only make $50,000. Maybe you believe that it's too late for you to find love. Maybe you don't actually believe in manifestation and quantum leaping. And it doesn't matter whether you believe in it because these laws of the universe are working regardless. I shared in my last video when I first learned about the law of attraction, I I was doing a lot of the processes, but I wasn't raising my frequency up because I didn't know how. And I was thinking, this stuff doesn't work. So I kept attracting it not working, even though that was actually the law working. But it wasn't until I changed my beliefs about myself and what I thought was possible and did a bunch of shadow work and started to believe that if this person could have the thing I wanted, so could I, because the laws of the universe are responding to us the same. The law of attraction is not responding more to the billionaire than it is to you. It's just they have the vibrational frequency, the identity, and the belief that they're a billionaire or a millionaire. So life responds to them. The reason we don't have the things we want in our life is because we often don't feel it's possible for us to live in that parallel reality. We might believe that it's too late, or we believe that we're bad at manifesting. And like I said, you don't actually have to manifest anything. You just align your vibrational frequency, your identity, and your belief systems with the version of you that already believes it. There's a version of you that already believes in love, that believes that they deserve their soulmate, that believes they are have their best career, that believes I want this dream house, I must have it. They assume, they use the law of assumption. They've already assumed that that's their reality because that is their reality. And you can just borrow their beliefs and start to incrementally dissect the beliefs that you have that are holding you back and change them. And once you match their beliefs and their identity and frequency, you will be living the life that they live, and your beliefs will change because then you'll be living that life. So it'll be obvious to you. When you quantum leap, things that I think sometimes that I'm like, oh my God, this is like it's so normal that it's possible for me now. But 5 years ago, I couldn't have believed, or not even 5 years ago, because I've been in this reality for like 3.5 years. But prior to that, when I first jumped, there was stuff that it was like, oh my God, 3 months ago, I couldn't have really believed that this was possible. And now it's completely my normal life. And then there's new levels of what do I want to believe is possible for me now. Number 4 is focusing on what you don't want instead of what you do want. This is, like I said in my last video, a trap with the law of attraction. We think we're focusing on what we want, but instead we're complaining and explaining why we don't want what we have. I don't want this bad relationship. I don't want to be alone forever. I don't want to work for this person. The the thing about the law of attraction is it is always saying yes. It is saying yes when you are vibrationally agreeing with something, and when you are pushing something away, it is saying yes. Abraham Hicks says there is no assertion in the universe, there's only attraction, meaning things are not asserting themselves into your life. You are giving permission to these things by the law of attraction, by your focus and by your vibration. Your vibration has to do with where you are on the vibrational set point. You can look up the Abraham Hicks scale. The emotions that you feel on a consistent basis are your vibrational frequency, but you can change it by incrementally going up the scale. I used to live in powerlessness and depression for a long time, and I'd like to say I am so happy. Not that I don't ever get sad or angry or any of that, but more of my life is lived higher up on the scale because I made a conscious choice and decision to raise myself up. And when I feel myself start to dip, I ask myself, ooh, what am I believing is true? Why is this bothering me? How can I see this different? A powerful prayer, it comes from A Course in Miracles, is something that's bothering you or you don't know how to fix. You just say, God, angels, universe, change how I think about this thing. I want to see this differently. I am ready and willing to see this differently. I give it over to you. Just ask to see it differently, because there's a different way of looking at whatever you're looking at. And that will change your vibrational frequency when you change your thoughts to see things differently, when you start to believe that everything is always working out for you. Even like I said, the really, I mean, I don't even want to focus on that anymore, but when life wasn't going so great for me, it actually was because of all of that chaos. It turned me onto spirituality. So everything always was working out for me because I was able to find a way out of it. And now I know how to create my own reality and focus on what I want. But the law of attraction is always working. So instead of thinking about how you don't want something, think about how great it's going to be when you get that job, when you get that relationship, when you're making that much money. Daydream about the things that you do want. And the fifth thing that is keeping you tethered to the old reality when you're wanting to quantum jump to the new reality is absorbing other people's energetic frequencies. So, everyone in your life, you are a vibrational match to on some level. Now, they might be a little more negative than you or a little more positive than you, but the people that you're around most of the time, you guys have a kind of similar vibrations because of the law of attraction. But, and I actually noticed this last weekend, I was working on a job and I was around some energy that I kind of was worried was going to be negative. And I also had my own stuff going on, and I noticed how easy it was for me to jump into complaining and agree with people. Partly wanting to belong, being on a set, wanting to just, not be the weird person that doesn't agree that things are going a certain way. But it's so easy for us to vibe with what other people are doing, and this can be good too. When people are in a higher vibration, if you're willing to be lifted up, you can absolutely be lifted up. But we actually absorb the energetic frequencies of the people we're around the most. So we're around them, it's like a catch 22. We're around them because we have similar frequencies, but we're also absorbing their frequencies, so we stay in that frequency. When you're wanting to quantum jump to a new reality, you have to close the door on old timelines. I'm not saying you have to cut everybody out of your life. It's not that, but there might be some people you need to, or there might be environments that you can no longer be in because just being there, you are saturating yourself in the energy. Like I said, when I worked at that bar and I was offered this other job, I was so used to being in this dark energy and because I was a match for it, but all it did was keep me in this dark perpetual loop, and the people that I worked with and the people that would come in, I would absorb their energy, and it brought me lower and lower because it made me just want to fit in and belong, and I just became darker, if you would say. So, you have to be aware of environments where you are and people you're around, what you're listening to, watch what you're watching on TV, music. And I don't think like I know some people say that music has like I know music has different frequencies and they're like, don't listen to rap music or don't listen to that. I don't think that. I think it's what do you feel like when you're listening to this music? When I'm working out, I love listening to some hip hop. It energizes me, but it's about when you're watching TV or reading a book or listening to a podcast, you're absorbing the energy of those people too. So you can do that in a positive way. Listen to podcasts, read books, watch TV. I listen to a lot of Abraham Hicks that's going to raise you up, but it's also being aware that even when you're aware that you don't want to absorb other people's energies, I noticed in these few days that I was on the set, I noticed afterwards I wasn't feeling good and I was like, "Oh my god, it was so easy for me to just already worry that the energy was going to be weird and then feel myself get sucked into it and then I felt bad for like 3 days." And I know better. But it was I could have still been in that energy, I guess, and been way more aware of not wanting to agree and not wanting to complain and, that sort of thing. But when the energies you're absorbing have to do with what parallel timeline you're living on because like I said earlier, your vibrational set point where you are consistently feeling on a consistent level is how your life is. So the version of you that has their dream job, dream career, dream home, whatever, dream wealth, they're at a different vibrational frequency. The reason you probably want to quantum jump is because in some area of life, they're living a better version of reality in that area. So their vibration is higher in that area. Their belief systems are better about that thing. Their identity is better about that thing that you want. So if you're constantly in a lower vibration, you can't actually jump to that reality because you'll never merge. You guys will bounce off each other. There's a gap between the version of you that lives you and the version of you on that other timeline. They have a different vibrational frequency, which has to do with the energies that they're around on a consistent basis. And I would bet that that version of you, because they have a different identity, they would choose not to be in lower frequencies. They would choose not to be in places that don't make them feel good. They probably aren't even an energetic match to even be around that sort of energy. And the thing I was in this week, it wasn't like super toxic. It wasn't toxic, but they would choose not to be in those environments, or if they were, they would be able to maintain their frequency because their set point would be so high that they're just normally at that place and they're not going to let other things bring them down. Things come into our lives sometimes that can make our vibration fluctuate, but it's like how quickly can you bounce back? And also, how can you choose to be around things that are going to lift you up and that are a match for that reality you want to live in? If you desire something, it's because there's a version of you on a parallel timeline already living that thing, and it is communicating with you through desire. Desire is literally saying, desire means another version of you is living that, and you can actually close the gap and merge with them. And when you do, life gets so good because what you desire is meant for you. It's not an accident. What you desire is what you're supposed to have. You don't need to create anything, everything already exists. What you want is already done vibrationally. Match your frequency with that reality and you will quantum jump. And remember, this timeline is optional. Much love.